Echo a lot of what Hanley said. He meant a lot to this organization. Premium talent, an uber talent in a lot of respects. And we were talking this morning about that Thanksgiving night in '05 when we traded for him and how difficult that trade was. And then he came out and showed everybody what he could do right off the bat as a very young guy and proven in the big leagues in 2006. So, looking back on it, looking at the talent and what he's done for this organization, these are tough moves. Anibal Sanchez was a tough move. Omar Infante, you're talking about two really professional guys that are performing. These are tough trades, but when you underachieve at the level that this team has underachieved and it has not won at the level that we expected it to, we've talked about a restructuring, and this is part of it. And when we, in earnest, really started talking about this with Jeffrey, Hanley was part of this. That we said, you know what, maybe it's time for a fresh start for Hanley, and maybe it's time for a fresh start for the Marlins. We could not figure out why Hanley and his talent in his prime was hitting in the mid-240s. So hopefully he will do what he's capable of, which is, obviously not a 245 hitter, and hopefully that happens for him in LA. But as part of this restructuring, I think it was just time to move on. We've had certainly a lot of achievements with Hanley, and we never got to the playoffs with him. We've had some challenges and disappointments with Hanley along the way, but the bottom line is he's an exceptional talent. He is to this day, and this is tough, but this is necessary in our view. I think when you guys asked, and I'm certainly open, both of us are open to questions, but are we giving up on the season? I'll leave that up to you guys. You're going to characterize it however you want. We don't feel that way. We weren't winning with the group we had. And we want to make changes. There's going to be some players that are going to be given opportunity. Hopefully they'll step up. We still have a lot of talent on this team. It needs to play better as a whole, the guys that are still in this clubhouse. And we're going to try to win games. So Hanley's a Dodger. Randy Choate's a Dodger. Did a great job for us as a lefty specialist. We were hopeful down the stretch that he would be wiping out some lefties as we made a run toward October. It didn't work out. He's a would-be free agent. Part of the restructuring. So we move forward. And we'll play today in a couple hours, and we're going to try to win ball games.
What's your all's theory on why Hanley's production deteriorated the last couple, 2 years?
I really do. And we've all kind of beat our heads, and there's several guys, not just Hanley, that we're saying that about right now too, saying, this guy's proven major league player. He's got an established record here with averages and stuff that belie these kind of numbers. And why are they performing the way they are? We're going to try to get to the root of it. We tried to, and I don't think we're quite there. Hanley's in the prime of his career. An exceptional talent. He's in great shape. Still the same kid that we got to know 7 years ago. Never thought he'd be hitting 246. And again, maybe it was just time for a fresh start. Maybe it wasn't going to happen here for whatever reason. Marlins' fault, Hanley's fault, whatever fault it wasn't happening. Wish I knew.
Larry, you made 2 pretty big trades in the last 3 days. Marlins fans are probably wondering, are you done? Is anyone else going to go? How would you answer that?
I think that they should be wondering. I think they should be disappointed in the way the team has played and the way where we are in the standings. I don't know. Joe. We're not going to do something just to do something. If it makes sense, yes. You need to match up, and these things came together relatively quickly with the Tigers and the Dodgers because we just matched up. And we wanted to bring back a young starting pitcher. That was a goal. If we were going to market Hanley, and we were, and Valdi fit that bill. And the whole profile of the deal worked for us with McGough coming back and Valdi. Our plan is to put Valdi in the rotation. He should start here on Saturday. Wade LeBlanc will stay in the middle pen as a long guy and a viable starter if need be. And we achieved our goal. It matched up, and the players profiled out, and we moved ahead. So whether something else happens, it's the same answer I gave you on Monday night, and something happened on Tuesday. But we'll see. We got 6 days to go in the trade deadline. We have to do our job, and if it means that there's going to be additional moves, then there'll be additional moves.
Larry, some might say that you only really gave this group, as it's constructed, a little more than half a season to gel. And some might say maybe you're a little too impatient with them.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I just, we have to do our job, Jim, and make tough calls. And you take a body of games, let's say it's 10 games, and say, okay, what's going on here in those 10 games on the positive side that shows us that this team is going to make a run and that we're fortified in the right areas and we're going to take off. Just didn't see it, and we don't see it in the future. We didn't see it just clicking. We were waiting for it to click, waiting for May to happen again, and we just didn't feel like it was going to happen. We go into Chicago, we lose 2 out of 3, and again, we're not going to take a series and make a decision, but it was cumulative. Going to Pittsburgh to get swept, you know, it just you have to make a tough call. We made a tough call, and whether this team was going to catch fire or not, it still may. We still have some really good pitching. We still have some really good talent on this team. We expect that it could, but we didn't feel like it was going to happen with the current group, so we went ahead and made changes.
Your line, obviously, with Hanley, his numbers are what they are, but he's still a presence in that lineup, and a guy that you guys were building around. How do you replace that without additional moves?
It's something to look at. I'm not going to tell you that third base is not going to be a focus between now and next April. I think it will be. I think it should be. We're going to give some other guys a shot, take a look, but we're going to have to look at other avenues to fortify the lineup. We're going to get Giancarlo back here this summer, and he's going to be a big presence. We need Logan Morrison to perform better than he has. We need guys to pick it up. We still have that speed dynamic. We need some power in the middle of the lineup. And we're going to have to look at it. So I'm not going to shy away, Joe, that yeah, we probably still have some additional work to do. Whether that happens in the next 6 days, who knows? But between now and next April, I think, yeah, we need to look at the middle of the lineup. We need to look at third base and see how we're going to move ahead.
Larry, how much of this was more the intangibles off the field stuff with Hanley specifically? Stuff that coming out, maybe he didn't get a lot of goals before he should, or his attitude?
I think some of that stuff has been well documented, and again, I think without getting into specifics, we've had some challenges with him. We've had challenges with other players too, but because of height and because he was a star player and achieved at the level that he achieved, I think it's a little bit more out in front. Hanley Ramirez is a Marlin today if this team's cranking. If we're right there in the division, or we're banging on the door of the wild card, and people are performing up to their abilities. All we ask is the players perform up to their ability. We're not quite there with the group as total. They just have underachieved en masse, and we made the decision to make the move. So again, probably these last 2 trades, if we're right there, we're probably talking about adding to this team, or maybe a tweak here or a tweak there. But and going back to Jim's story, we added Carlos Lee, and we changed out some personnel, and yet the bottom line is driving in runs with runners in scoring position didn't change. Guys were not progressing up to their abilities and their capabilities, and we just made the decision.
At what point did Jeffrey, he had to be in on the decision, I assume. At what point did he said, okay, because I know he had been fond of Hanley in the past. At what point did he said, go for it?
Jeffrey loves his players, there's no question. I think he definitely had a soft spot for Hanley. There's a lot of, we can talk about some of the challenges we have for Hanley. There's tremendous positives with Hanley. He's an intelligent guy, sweet guy. You get to know him away from some of the superstar persona. There's really a lot of endearing things about Hanley, and that's when you ask about things that we'll remember the super talent. We'll remember a lot of those things as well, about how fun he can be around, and the $1 million smile, and all those things. But very tough on Jeffrey. He had high expectations. We're in this brand new building, which is beautiful. It's done its job. It's climate controlled and just a great place to play. And the team is underachieved. And he's very involved in every aspect of what we're doing. We're on the phone with him throughout the day. He's been supportive, and at the same time, this has been difficult for him.
Larry, the financial component of this trade, obviously a lot of money comes off the books now for the next few years. Does this enable you to do some things maybe in free agency that you might not have been able to do?
We'll see. I knew that question was coming. Players all come with something. They come at $500 grand. They come at $15 million. In this trade, where we wanted to restructure, this player has a hefty contract that he earned based on how he produced. And so there is that financial component. We'll get with Jeffrey. We'll talk about next year and where the payroll may be going, and then we'll put the club together. But I don't think that's putting the cart a little bit ahead of the horse right now, Juan. But we'll have those conversations like we normally do late in the summer. We'll start those conversations and then and then move from there. So I don't know exactly how this will come out, but no doubt there was, you know, Hanley had a substantial contract that the Dodgers had taken and told.